Welcome everyone to another video of our bench modeling. In the last video, this is where we have left off, and this is how the um, object detailing was, and we discussed that we will be doing a little more detailing in this particular video. So before we go ahead and do that, let me check if the dimensions are correct which we created last time, and we kept this box as a guide for our dimensions. Okay, yep, maybe a little off here and there, nothing major. That's fine. Okay, now let's look at adding the mesh smooth, and adding the additional detailing and this edge smoothness and everything. Since this is a wood, it's good to add that additional detail before doing the materials and rendering and everything. So here what we are trying to do is, we'll add more segments and that edge softness, smooth edges of the this particular model, so that it looks great in the rendering stage. In the reference also you can see that it is having that smooth edge over here, which we can create in 3D. And yep, let's try and do that. Now, before we go ahead and do that, in the last video, this is where we have stopped, and I think I have missed out on this particular detail, that this cutting that you can see, and this one also, which we have to create in this video. And then additionally, we will have to cut this area as well, because in the last video we ended this plank in this area, which is not the um, correct way this particular bench is designed in. So let's go ahead and try and do that. Let's go to editable poly mode, as for snapping, and then move the vertices to the end. Go to the shell. All right, let's check if it is projecting outside a little bit. Yep, it's coming outside a little bit. So let's okay, now here you can see this symbol, right? It shows show, and it says show and result on off toggle. So basically what it means is that, if you have so many modifiers stacked here, so it will show the end result of whatever that modifiers that you have added. Right now, since it's in editable poly section, it is only showing how it will look in this particular modifier. And if I'm going up, it will add the shell, and then the symmetry also comes up. Right now, in this particular case, if we tick this on, it will show the end result, like after adding the shell and the symmetry. Right, so let's extend it a little bit, just like our reference. This looks cool. Now let's add that cutting over here as per the reference. I'm going to select these two objects and isolate by pressing Alt Q, and then going to wireframe mode. Now we will add uh, let's add an edit poly on top of this, so that just in case if I make any mistake, hopefully not, we can always delete this edit poly and go back. We always have the option of undoing as well. Okay, let's select these two segments. Let's select all these segments, or you can select one and use the ring. Go to connect, add two segments, slide it. Yep, it's in the right proportion. Okay, With these two segments selected, okay, we have all four selected. Now we don't need that. We'll select these two, and then we will add another connect. Just one segment is fine. If we give the slide option in this, as you can see that, plus um, plus values of slide in this particular polygon is coming to the left side, and the other polygon is going to the opposite side. So that is something we should keep in mind when we are working with this particular angle. And in this situation, what we can do is we can simply leave it at 0. Okay, and then move the edge based on the edge constraint. Okay, now switching to vertex, moving this edge. Great. Moving these two vertices more towards the original model. Up and okay, here also a little bit. Oops, there is no edge. We need to disable constraint. Move this up. Yeah. Now let's bridge, or we can delete as well. Let's just delete these two segments we are bridging. Let's isolate and so that can be seen a little better. Undo that, isolate. Okay, selecting these two segments, bridge. You can see that the opposite side also is updating. It's because the symmetry we have added here. Okay, and go to border, click this, right click, cap, done, and isolate. Okay, that cutting is added. That's great. Now we need to add one cutting here and one cutting here as well, as per the design. Let's isolate that, go to this side, and then okay, we need to add an additional edit poly after adding the shell, because we need to without shell there we can't add that particular detail. So edit poly on top of this, click this segment, ring, and then we don't need these two right now, or we can keep it. Yeah, let's connect, slide it. Okay, I think it, yeah, it's coming somewhat in this direction. Yeah, let's keep it at 60. Okay, and then move this edge, snap with that, should do it. Okay, let's see. Now we will extrude these guys. Go to edge view. Okay, we have a problem here. Move these vertices. Now select all these polygons, deselect the side polygons, extrude by 0.5 centimeter. Yeah, that should, yeah, let's keep it at 0.5. That should be fine. Okay, now same goes here as well. Edit poly, select ring, connect, slide up. Oops. 60 is what we have given here. Same value we are giving again. Polygon selected, extrude 0.5. Okay, great. So those designs we have included. Still, we need to get that, smooth edge and whatnot. We'll get there soon. I think we have covered everything now. Let's cross check once more. Yes, I think there is a little bit of distance here. You can see the shadow here, right? I think we will get that detail when we are. There is a little bit of offset. I think we can move this detail to the center of the black back plank, possibly. Oops, go to the side. What the heck is that? Damn. Okay, moving that. Okay, these guys. Let's move this vertices also inside. Okay, great. Okay, now let's move these objects more towards the center of the backrest. And this one, let's move that a little to the front so that this alignment is proper, backrest alignment. And this area is coming a little inside. It's not a big it's not a big problem, but let's just align that also properly so that later on it doesn't become a problem when we are working with the scene and whatnot. Okay. Okay, great. Now let's add open subdivs on top of this. Okay, so this is how it will come. Okay, this is happening because there is no supporting edge for these edges. We need to add multiple segments here in order to support the sharper edge. The easier way of doing this is by adding a chamfer modifier. We can do that. What I'll do right now is we'll detach this particular one, this particular plank, so that it doesn't become a problem when we are doing the or adding the mesh smooth on top of this. Right now we'll convert this into editable poly. Click, double click on the edge, it becomes a loop. Since it's an editable poly, now we need to do both the sides and then click on split. What this does is this basically, let me just show you. So it basically splits this element and this particular element based on the selection that we have given, which was that edge loop, right? And now the split is complete, but still these two are, same object. We need to detach that. Let's detach, and let's not click on any of this. Detach. Okay, let's give a pivot. Pivot is basically this object movement axis, and so basically based on this pivot point is what the movement and the rotation, everything happens. So since we have detached this particular object from the initial model that we had, now we need to, or at least it's good to centralize this pivot again. So come to this particular area where it says hierarchy. In the pivot section, click on effect pivot only, then center to object. Okay, now click again to disable that option. Come back to our original mode, and then let's isolate this guy. Let's cap these two areas. We need to do the same for the detached blank as well. Border, select border by pressing 3. You can see here. Now Control A to select all the borders. Right click, cap. Awesome. Now that is done. Now let's try and add the chamfer on top of this. Chamfer is added. Chamfer, basically what it does is it will add additional segments near the edges that are already there. You can see here. And so when we increase the distance of the segments added also increases. So currently I think point 0.2 value seems to be working just fine. Point 0.2 or point 0.3. Point 0.3 is fine. And let's add additional segment, one more segment. Press F4 to see if the edge is coming fine or not. Okay, and if we come down here in the smoothing output, it says that it's smooth and the entire smooth entire object option is enabled here. So instead of that, what we need is smooth chamfers only. Click that and it will chamfer only, it will smoothen only the chamfered area. So we'll click on this smooth to adjacent. So basically what it does is it will only smooth the adjacent segments that are right next to the chamfer segments. Okay, that's the correct option that we need for this particular case. And if we want, we can additionally add turbo smooth, mesh smooth, or open subdivs, any modifiers like that. So in this particular case I'm using open subdivs. As you can see, it does the job decently. We can add one more iteration if we want, so that the edges are coming fine. Yep, open, copy, and then paste. Boom. Again, forgot to add chamfer. Copy both, paste. As you can see, it does work, but I think here we need to add some segment because there is some sort of smoothing issue is happening here. It's not that evident, but maybe it can become a problem when we do the materials for this particular object. So let's select all this, connect. Let's add 3 and then pinch to, let's say 95 should be fine. And then chamfer. Great. Now it's working good. Okay. Now let's add the same thing here as well. Now in this particular object, this segment you can see here, right? Now the top portion is having a lot of segments and in the bottom it's not there. Why? Because we created this particular object by using the spline, right? So all these segments were added, as you can see here, from the um, segments in this particular line. So see that, that's how it is working. Now if I'm going to vertex mode, just for you guys to understand a little more, interpolation, if I'm reducing, it will reduce the segments. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think we will be doing, we'll be adding open subdivs on top of this, so this smoothness should come back. Okay, now on extrude we will add editable poly, and then select all these two segments. We need to add 5 segments. Click connect 5. It's a little offsetted. Let's go to top view, F3, and then pinch. Yeah, this should work somewhat. Okay, now I can select these two vertices, connect these two vertices, connect. Now we do have the option of connect, selecting all these vertices and pressing connect once. That also works. Just be careful, it works in this particular case, but it might not work all the time. It really depends on the mesh complexity that you have done. This one is a pretty simple one, and it's pretty straightforward with the connection we want in this particular model. That's why it's happening like this. So in this case, if I were to select these two vertices and then click on the connect, you see that all these vertices are getting some connection, and then it doesn't work, right? So but in this particular case, it is working because it's pretty straightforward for the connection to work. Okay, now the offsetting, the angle is a little off. It's not a big deal, but select segment, snap, done. Select segment, snap, select segment, snap. Okay, select all these vertices, disable the snap, connect, select everything, double check, connect. All done. Now we need to add one chamfer on top of it. If you remember, we copied these two from here, chamfer and open subdivs. Let's try and paste that. Yep, it's working. Great. The same thing we'll try doing here as well. Yep. So here also the chamfer is working like how it worked for the previous ones. Like let me just, okay, now when I turn on the chamfer, it is adding the segments in this initial single edged areas, and then we are adding open subdivs on top of it. So before, after, very subtle difference, but it'll add a little more segment and the softness to the original object. So in this particular case, we don't have to add anything underneath here, I guess. But I think since we don't have that info, I think it will be here somewhere. Yeah, I think it's good to add one in the middle. Okay, I'll copy this because I need to remove the symmetry in this one, and then we will snap this to the center segment of this one. Before we do that, we need to center the pivot, effect pivot, come to hierarchy, pivot, effect pivot, center to object, disable that, come to the center view. Now it's in the center. Enable snap, snap to the center of this blank. Oops. Yep, great. I think this is how it will be. Yeah, all right. Now let's try and do the same thing for the for this leg. All right. Uh, Copy chamfer and open subdivs. Paste. Boom. Let's see. It seems to be working just fine. Uh, I think there are. I think there is a little bit of. No, I was expecting. I thought maybe some chamfer edges will be added here, and sometimes these edges will create that you know sort of jagged edge feel to it. But in this particular case, it's working like a charm. Great. Oopsie. Here you can see. So this is why we have detached this particular plank from the front leg as well. So um, what we'll do is we'll just delete these two. We'll detach. We'll convert this into detachable poly, and we will detach this. Okay, just like we have done before. Border, select both the borders by pressing 3 and Control A, right click, gap. You can even remove these segments if you want, but I'm too lazy to do that. Let's leave it for the time being. uh, Go to pivot, effect pivot only, center to object, deselect, go to border option by pressing 3, Control A, gap, and isolate. Great. Now let's copy, open subdivs and chamfer again, copy, paste, paste. Right. Let's continue doing that for these as well. Paste. As you can see that because these all are instances, it's working for everything in one go. Now let's see how it is coming for these. Paste and paste. Great. I think there is a little bit of distance here which we can fix. Oops. Front view. Oops. Wrong selection again. Come to editable poly. Okay. There is a little bit of offset here. Come to edge. Snap. Snapping is not working. Why I'm not so sure. It's automatically snapping to this particular vertex. That's why it is not working. So here I guess we'll disable the snap, but we'll retain the constraint and then move it. Same goes here. Oops. Constraint disable. Control Z. Huh. So constraint was the problem. So why it was happening is because I was trying to push this further and there is no edge for the constraint to align this vertex to. So it was moving in this direction. So I'll keep the constraint disabled, keep the snap on, and then snap it to this vertex. Great. Now it's working. Okay. Guess I'll also learn a little bit by doing these videos. Okay. Let's check this. Okay. There is a little bit of offset. Oopsie. Okay. Isolate and isolate. Great. Now this seems to be working. Now a couple of things, the handles and the backrests. We need to add that. Paste. Here everything seems to be working fine except this area which we need as smooth like in the reference. So let's isolate this, come here and check our model. All right, now an easier way to do this is by smoothing this area. uh, we can do that by going into the edge mode and double click here. So what it is doing is it will create a loop of these segments. So the intention here is to chamfer these edges first so that it will kind of smoothen out, and then we will add the original chamfer that we have added for the rest of the objects, which will add the additional segments in the corners, and then the open subdisk also will come in to add additional softness to it. So let's click on chamfer and increase the distance. Let's check the side view to see how it is coming in. You can see that it's working quite well. Now, as you can see here, there is a segment which I can avoid. Here, these two segments is not needed. So, okay, let's keep it at 0.8 and then we can probably delete one of the segment. Disable this chamfer smooth because we don't need that at the moment. Okay, click on it and then deselect by clicking anywhere in the viewport and then double click, control, press control and then backspace to remove that edge, that selection. Basically why control is, we simply click backspace, you can see that the vertex remains. So in order to remove the vertex along with the segments, we are pressing control and backspace. Now if we check, there is no vertex, right? Now let me move these segments a little up so that click and double click, move in the Z axis. Fine. I think there is a little bit of offsetting happening here, which we can align, snap up on, and then snap here, snap here. We are just trying to get the alignment correct. Snap here. This also. Yep. I think these two also can be aligned. Great. Hmm. Okay. I was just trying to see whether we can delete a little more. Oops. Yeah, I think let's try. Oops. Won't work. Okay. Okay, this match segments we'll retain, and then the chamfer and subdivs we are turning on, and then and isolate. King. That's great. Now let's try the same thing for these two objects. Isolate them. Okay, paste. Working like a charm. Paste. Great. Now, when we copy pasted, it seems to be working fine here. We can see that we have gotten, decent edges, but it did break here. Let's check that out. Okay, so there is no supporting segment here. That's why that break is happening. We need to add some more segments here. So go to right click and go to cut, where we can add manually however we want. So click on, you can see that our cursor is changing. Okay, here, click, click again, and click on this. Now click here, and then click here. We can add some segments here as well. Before we do that, think let's delete these two. Control backspace. Let's do the same here as well. Control backspace. Connect. When we slide, like just like we discussed before, it won't work. We need to move this manually along the edge. Now, why we are doing this is to avoid that, you know, when we manually add the cut, we need to add each and every segment, and it becomes a little tedious, and the edge flow also can get ruined. So in order to avoid that, we are doing like this. So right now, if we select these two vertices and connect, it will work just fine. Great. Let's see if the chamfer is creating any problem. I think something is a little off here. Let's check that area again. I think we need to add some segments here. Let's try and do that. Pinch 85. Great. Now that works. So we do have the option of taking the uh, mirroring this on x-axis and keeping it here. We can always do that. I think let's keep it as an instance so that later on when we do any modifications, it doesn't become a problem. So x Before we do that, let's take a copy to get the position reference. Now we will delete, go to element, delete this one, exit, and then we will mirror on x-axis and we'll keep it as an instance. Now it is already instanced, but it's not, you can't see it unless you move it. Okay, because it's in the it cloned based on the pivot and it was sitting on top of the original object. Okay, now you understand why I kept this copy. Now we can snap it on the edge or any of the vertex here. We just snap it here. Now if you check, whatever we do here will get reflected over there. And because we mirrored it on the x-axis, if we move, see, it goes like that. So it mirrors based on the original x-axis. So if we move it towards here, that's how it will happen. Ideally, if we didn't mirror it on the x-axis, what will happen is if I'm moving it to the left, this will come to the left. That's not what we want in this particular case. All right. Okay, now that also is sorted. Now let's fix this particular backrest, and let's go to the front view for that. Go to shader view. We need to smoothen this area. Okay, let's isolate this. Go to the front, and since it's an angle, it's best to keep an eye on what is happening in both the angles. Let's disable chamfer and open subdivs. I'm selecting these segments, all of these segments, and then creating one connect. Now pinch or slide and then move it outside to create that smooth option, and then move this vertex a little bit low so that we'll have that smooth feel to it, and then we will add the same thing here as well. Oops, connect, move it outside. Now let's connect these two edges, so that two vertices, so that it doesn't become a problem when we are adding the chamfer and whatnot. Okay, so here we need to add a connect first and then connect these vertices. Add a connect, again connect. Yeah, let's ignore the other side for now and let's check if it is working. I think we need more segments here. In order to do that, what we can do is click and double click. So this entire loop is selected now, and we'll go to wireframe to see if the alignment is proper. Let's move these to align with the back side. Go to segments view, double click, move a little bit, and now we will chamfer this edge. Okay, disable the smooth. Now we need to move this also a little bit outside. In order to do that, we'll enable the constraint edge. Otherwise, it will go a little outside and our smooth, our edge flow might get ruined. Okay, now let's check again. For open subdivs. Seems to be working fine. I think we can add more softness here. Oops. Let me move this a little more inside. Okay, I don't think we need more segments, but we'll just adjust these placements a little bit. If you see that we are moving it in the edge constraint, okay, that's why we are having that correct edge flow still. Okay, great. For open some divs. Awesome. Now it's smooth. Yep. I think here a little more we can do. Let's move this inside a lot more. And then chamfer this. And then, okay. Let's see how this comes up. Yeah, that is working. Great. Now we need to, okay, we have the symmetry on. I thought we converted this. That's why it is working on both the sides. Great. I think we have added all the detailing on top of this furniture that we needed. I think our modeling of this particular object or the furniture is finished. Now I think it's time to move on to the materials and shading. In the next video, we will try and create a studio setup first, and then we will do the texturing and shading of this particular furniture. Okay, thank you for watching the video, guys. Just like I have mentioned in the last video, this is my second video in YouTube in this particular channel. I'm making a little bit of mistakes here and there, but I think you guys will understand and you will understand the methods that I'm going and how I'm fixing the errors. I think you guys will benefit it when you are modeling any other custom models, and that's why I'm not removing that bit and only sticking with the the methods that have worked. Okay, so yeah, so in the upcoming videos I'll get more and more used to these kind of videos, and hopefully will not make too many mistakes. Okay, thank you for watching the video till the end, and all the best with your furniture model. In the upcoming video, like I mentioned before, we will try to do a studio setup, and then we will do the materials and texturing for this particular furniture. Okay, until next time, guys. Bye bye.